Thank you so much for joining me on your lunch break. I know that we've had a lot of speakers, but I promise you I won't disappoint. As some of you may or may not know much about me yet, I would love to introduce myself to you. I was an Air Force combat pilot, and you may have thought that the fight of my life was thousands of feet up in the air over the deserts of Iraq or the mountains of Afghanistan. It actually turns out it was down here in the cardiac ICU with my newborn son, Henry, about 18 months ago. When I was pregnant with him, Rob and I found out that he had a serious cardiac condition. We wouldn't know how serious until he was born. Luckily, just a few hours after he started breathing air, his heart started pumping normally, and we could take him home in 5 days. And now he's 16 months old, and he's running around the house, pulling things off the shelves, and we actually call him Mayhem, just like the insurance commercials. But we found that we were really blessed, but we recognized that the people around us in the hospital were suffering. There was a child from Dayton that was getting a pacemaker put in at the age of 3, and another child at 6 months old who hadn't been home yet. And Rob and I looked at each other, and he's a veteran too, and we said, if we're not fighting for these families, who is? And that's why I'm running for U.S. Congress to defeat Steve Chabot here in Ohio's 1st Congressional District. I'm the proud daughter of 2 immigrants. My father came here as a teenager from the Philippines. My mother came here as a child from the Netherlands. Both of them came here to the U.S. seeking a better way of life. My dad was trained as an auto mechanic. He loved working with his hands. He loved coming back at the end of the day. Some days he'd work 6 days a week. He'd have these big Popeye forearms, grease under his fingernails, and sometimes metal shavings in his curly hair. But he was always proud of the work that he did. One day at the age of 50, Dad slipped and fell off a ladder while he was painting the side of our house. He broke his back, and when he couldn't work, we lost everything, and Dad went on disability. My mom was trained as a secretary and had the courage to go back to college at the age of 52 so she could support the family. I never saw anyone work harder than Mom and Dad did, and they showed me that this country was built on the backs of people who shower at the end of the day and not before it. I'm so proud that they taught me about faith, service to country and to community, so I decided to join the U.S. Air Force Academy. I got an appointment, and when I was a junior, as a cadet, September 11th happened. And so I decided to sign up for Air Force pilot training, knowing that I'd be sent off to war. That's where I met my husband, Rob. He and I both flew the mighty KC-10, which is a big tanker air-to-air refueler. If you've ever seen them in flight, one airplane flies at one airspeed and altitude, and another airplane comes behind it and hooks up, and you actually transfer gas in midair. He and I deployed to the desert together 3 times. And then I deployed twice more without him. He actually stayed home with our son Wyatt while I was in Afghanistan and in the Middle East. All total, I have over 200 missions over Iraq and Afghanistan, over half of which I have commanded. But some of the toughest days were missing Wyatt's 2nd and 4th birthday. But now I'm proud that I work at GE Aviation as a businesswoman. Do you know the airplanes I flew in combat were manufactured right here in Evendale by the proud men and women of the UAW? It's funny how things come full circle like that. I work on big service contracts with big customers like United and Delta Airlines. So I know how to get things done, and I know how to negotiate. My husband's a pilot at United Airlines, and so between both our jobs, Wyatt's soccer and wrestling, and Henry running around the house, we know what families in Ohio are going through because we're going through it too. And after a quarter century in Washington, Steve Chabot's gone AWOL on the people he's supposed to serve. I know we've talked a little bit about his scandal, but I want to remind you, there couldn't be a sharper contrast between Steve and myself. He was missing over $100,000 worth of campaign money last year. He's under investigation by the grand jury. His campaign manager went missing, and he didn't know who his treasurer was. He continues to accept money from special interests, and I've already made a commitment I won't accept a dime of corporate PAC money. Because the only people that I'm here to serve are you. I'm very proud, as a female veteran, to be challenging him. Because we're going to need a strong candidate to be able to defeat him and flip this district. As many of you know, this district is gerrymandered all the way up to Warren County, the west side, and here in downtown. But the key there is being able to tie the district together and really unite each other. And the way we do that is with a strong female veteran on the ticket who can really show courage and leadership in these moments. That's why I'm so proud that I've been endorsed by 2 different national organizations. One's called Serve America, and the other is the Second Service Coalition. They're made up of veteran members of Congress Guys like Seth Moulton, you might remember him. He ran for Congress briefly last year. Or, excuse me, he ran for president last year. And then the others are veteran members of Congress that flip districts even tougher than this one, like Mikey Sherrill and Jason Crow. So I'm so excited to share with you my vision for the future, and the way that we defeat Steve Chabot and Donald Trump is by having a strong female veteran on the ticket that's going to be able to challenge them. And I will tell you, I've taken a new oath to provide affordable health care for people in this district, the hardworking families that are just one accident away from disaster. Thank you for having me.